Hello, welcome to the Healthy Alternatives podcast. I am Dr. Christine Sauer with DocChristine.com. Today's show is a recording of my radio show of the same name. Enjoy! Good afternoon, this is Dr. Christine Sauer, your host of the show Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM with live stream on communityradio.ca every Thursday at 12 noon Atlantic Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in today. In this show, I will talk mostly with guests about all aspects of health, healthcare and wellness, from conventional to alternative and everything in between. My mission for this radio show is to change people's lives for the better by informing them about different options to get and stay healthy and well, so they can choose for themselves which option might work in their case. And if you feel you are stuck in a dark place, I want to tell you there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Today, I'm with Angela Lamb of HealthyLifeNation.com. She is the filmmaker of the health documentary Un-Inflame Me, which is reversing the American diet and lifestyle. And she wrote a healthy children's book of superhero Healthy Henry Discovers Planet Earth. She's also a certified health coach and a fitness instructor. Welcome, Angela, to my show.
Thank you, Dr. Christine. So happy to be on.
I'm so happy to have you. And I would like to know, how did you get into that topic of inflammation and then become such a prolific author, filmmaker, and all of that?
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to share. About 3.5 years ago, I had a very dramatic hospitalization. I was in the hospital for a week. I had a revolving door of tests, and they really couldn't figure out what was wrong with me at first. I had my blood work was all seriously wrong. I had landed initially in the hospital because of a blood clot in my kidney. And at the time, I kept on hearing that you're chronically inflamed. Mm-hmm. And as a non-medical person, I had never heard that terminology before, and I didn't really understand it. Later, after my hospitalization, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness, and I was told that I would have to do biweekly blood draws. I would be on blood thinners, which initially I had to inject myself with a needle in my stomach 3 times a day, which, again, as a non-medical professional, that was quite traumatic. Mm. And I would be on a statin medication. And I was simply told that was going to be my life for the rest of my life. And I, at least not initially, I wasn't willing to accept that as my forever reality. So Can
I ask you how old you were?
I had just turned 40, so 40 hit me, my birthday hit me like a Mack truck with all of this going on.
Oh, my. So how did it go from there? What made you interested in health and wellness and then sharing it with others?
Sure, absolutely. I initially started to just dive into nutrition and exercise, and just trying on my own to be as healthy as possible. And so that was just very simplistic changes at first, just increasing my exercise and getting rid of soda and processed food and white flours initially was just my initial change. Mm-hmm. And when I went back to my rheumatologist, he saw a marked improvement in my blood work. And so that gave me hope to continue. Then I learned about an anti-inflammatory diet and started implementing that. And I searched out for a cardiologist that would help me get off our work to help me get off the statin medication. And at first I received a lot of resistance. I had a lot of cardiologists tell me, kind of jokingly contact me, tell me to come back to them when I had a much more serious situation where I needed a triple bypass or I had a heart attack. And I was not willing to get to that point, obviously. So I was fortunate enough, I had a friend who is an integrative pediatrician, and I started asking her questions, and she recommended a cardiologist that was interested in prevention and disease reversal. And that really opened my world to the world of what I call root cause medicine, because there's a lot of physicians, such as functional medicine physicians, neuropathic physicians, some holistic physicians, integrative physicians that really focus on root cause and look at you deeper. And that's what this cardiologist, Dr. Michael Twyman, did for me. He looked at my genetics. He looked at my nutrient deficiencies. He really dove deeper, and he found nutrient deficiencies. He actually found a genetic mutation that called MTHFR.
Quite common.
And with that and elevated homocysteine levels, which I had, that leads to clotting. So,
and inflammation,
Yes, and corrected the inflammation with some nutraceuticals and diet and lifestyle changes. And it took about a year and a half, but I was able to get off the statin medication, which I was on for the inflammation. And about at the year and a half mark as well, I was able to get off the blood thinners. I was diagnosed with a blood clotting disorder called antiphospholipid syndrome, and there's always the potential that it can come back. So it's very important to me to maintain this new lifestyle. But my rheumatologist has tested me after that 2-year mark over and over again, and there's no sign of it any longer in my system. So from this very scary experience and being able to change it for the better, I'm just very passionate about nutrition and health and wellness and root cause medicine, because that was a key component as well.
Yes, and I really love your story and how you got better. And that is what I tell my clients too. You have to go to the root of the disease and then find out what's really going on. And then you can reverse many conditions, including autoimmune diseases like you did. And that is very exciting. And it's nice that there is lots of functional and integrative doctors, but most of them are in US, in the United States. It is not easy to find them here in Canada, which is a shame.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
It's not easy, and I'm kind of bridging the gap a little bit here, but it would be nice, certainly.
Oh, absolutely. And before I got sick, I really didn't I didn't realize that there was variances in physicians. I feel like, unfortunately, chronic illness is a big business. And so, it's not always the approach that is taken, and especially with the pharmaceutical industry and all the marketing that goes behind that. Unfortunately, the norm is to simply suppress the symptoms. I
completely agree. I couldn't agree more. And what I found is that often food allergies, not of the immediate type, of the delayed type, and toxicities from all the pesticides and herbicides that are in our food and all the GMOs that contain all those toxins, I think that has a big contribution to not only inflammation, but allergies and the diseases that we call of diseases of our time.
I agree. So it's wonderful that you're bridging the gap in educating patients and guiding patients, because so many of these things are so complex, and you need guidance and you need to dive deeper. It's not easy. You have to be willing to make those changes. But there, like you said, there are so many things that are reversible and preventable.
And I love that you are a certified health coach and fitness instructor also. So we not only guide our clients in the same direction, but we also hold them accountable so they will reach the goals and will change their life if they're motivated, and we help them find that motivation if needed.
Right. Yes, it's something that's it's critical. It's really I don't know the stats in Canada, but I know that for example, diabetes since the 1980s has quadrupled in cases, and we no longer call type 2 diabetes adult onset diabetes. It's, children are getting it as well. And same with heart disease and autoimmune disorders. So, if it doesn't affect you personally, I'm sure that it affects a family member or a close friend. It's not something that can be ignored anymore and just
certainly not. And I feel also we should include cancer, or at least some cancers, in that
Absolutely.
list, because the increase in cancers, yes, it has been there forever, but the increase in cancer, I feel, has to do with the modern civilization. And this is a nice thought to bring us to the end of the first half of today's broadcast here on 97.5 CIOE FM Community Radio. Please tune in after the commercial break for more with Angela Lam on Un-Inflame Me. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM or on the web at communityradio.ca. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer, and I'm with today's guest, Angela Lam of HealthyLifeNation.com. In the first half, we talked a little bit about her story and how she got into health and wellness and being interested in inflammation by going through it herself and finding a solution to her autoimmune illness. Now, you said, and I've seen a trailer of your film Un-Inflame Me, Reversing the American Diet and Lifestyle. Tell me a little bit more about that movie.
Sure, absolutely. Before I got sick, I had always been a creative and artist. I had been a producer of 30-second commercials. I was an art director, graphic designer, and I kind of joke and say, this is what happens when a creative person gets sick.
And healthy again.
So, as I was going through my journey to figure out how to become well and I just started meeting the most interesting people, physicians, experts in the field, passionate about disease reversal and prevention, other people that, such as a fitness instructor in the film who is in her 50s and suffers from fibromyalgia, but she's been able to become much better through root cause medicine as well as fitness and a healthy lifestyle. So I started meeting all of these just really amazing people, and I thought to myself, there's a story here that could really help people. My experience was when I heard that I was chronically inflamed. That was, I never heard that term before, and my experience was that non-medical people really didn't understand chronic inflammation, what it was, and how to reverse it naturally. So I felt like it was an important message to share that would have people walk away with new information about health and wellness for the non-medical community that could really help them prevent and reverse illness.
Wow, that is a wonderful goal. How can somebody that is listening to this podcast or radio show, how can they access the film? Where is it shown, or is it yet?
It's currently doing the film festival circuit, so that will help me with wider distribution. If they go to the Un-Inflame Me movie page on Facebook, they can get updates as far as where it's currently being shown. And once I'm ready to release it, I will share that information as well. There is a trailer on the Healthy Life Nation website, and but the Facebook page, the Un-Inflame Me movie page, is where I put any updates regarding the film, and that's the best place to go at this time.
No, that is wonderful. And I'll share my email at the end so the listeners can access you. And if they need additional links, there will be links on the podcast site, on my website. And there will be also links, of course, available via email to anybody that is interested in them.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Now, you did not only produce a movie, but you also wrote a children's book. How did you get to that?
Kind of midway through becoming well, it was just crystal clear to me. I was an obese child, and my parents worked opposite shifts, so someone could always be there with me when I was a child. And because of that, we relied heavily on processed food. And so those were the habits that I grew up with being the norm. And also, I've spent a life in advertising, and I know that packaged food companies will market to children by putting fun characters that they see on their favorite shows on food boxes. And there's not a lot of marketing done for kids around fruits and vegetables and whole, real food. And so, healthy, I have my own children, and healthy habits really start early. And I really wanted to instill this in kids. So I developed a healthy living superhero who helps people become healthier. It's a story about Healthy Henry, who's from a different planet that eats real food from nature, and he discovers Earth and helps a friend of his, Dan, who's super funny but lacks energy, doesn't exercise at the beginning of the story. But Henry shows him how to and what to eat, which is real food from nature. And as a result, Dan at the end is much funnier and has a lot more energy and ends up doing much better in school as a result.
Now, that is really sounds like a lot of fun and interesting, and it's a great, great idea to do that way. Where can listeners get that book? Is it available for purchase anywhere?
It is. It can be, you can get it on Walmart.com, Amazon.com, as well as BarnesandNoble.com.
Wow, that is super. And how old are your children, if you want to share?
Sure. I have a 6-year-old and I have an 11-year-old. So the book is great for elementary school children. And I get asked to do a story time at schools and gyms and health museums, and so I make it to make it even more fun. I dress up like a giant carrot as I'm doing my story time presentation.
Wow, that is exciting. Do you ever take a video of that and post it somewhere so people can see the carrot?
There is a video of me in my gigantic carrot costume. It is actually on the Healthy Life Nation website as well as the Healthy Life Nation Facebook page. There's a kind of a little clip of the presentation story time that I do.
That sounds like a lot of fun, and I think it is very rewarding to bring the healthy lifestyle to the children in a way that the children understand, and then maybe the children want to influence their parents.
It is. I think they walk away and they're excited about eating fruits and vegetables. And sometimes I've gotten emails and calls that they go home to mom and dad, and instead of letting their parents give them something that might be processed, and they ask for that apple or that broccoli or banana or carrot, and they're excited about it.
And the parents say, "What's that? Since when don't you like Kraft dinner anymore?" How do you manage it with your kids and the outside temptations?
It is challenging. I drive through the bank to deposit a check, and they're wanting to give them a sucker, at school. They have parties, and it's all candy and cookies. It's a daily challenge, but I think being a role model for them at home and teaching them at home helps tremendously, because then when they are outside of the home, they make better choices. And also, with the school parties, I'll email the teacher and ask if I can donate some apples or something healthy that would be another option for the kids, so there isn't just candy and cookies at the party.
And are your children actually making the right choice? Because I find it very hard for children when they want a cookie and there's apples to choose the apple. They do. Not all the time. And I try not to be too stringent. I do try to influence them and then have them make the right choices versus mom always mandating, because I know how I am, and if I am told no, I want to do the opposite. But most of the time, if the parent's consistent and modeling the right behavior, most of the time we all stray, yeah.
We all stray at times, but the overall will be good choices.
And that is a wonderful thought to leave our listeners with, that you found your passion as a role model and a helper for children and adults wanting to go on the way to get healthy. And this brings me to the end of today's show. So please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions, thoughts, comments, or suggestions, or if you'd like to contact Angela. My email here is Christine, CHRISTINE @communityradio.ca, and I'm always grateful for feedback. I also want to extend a special thank you to today's producer, Jim Francis. You might not know this, but this is a volunteer-run non-profit radio station, and we even have an art gallery. If you're local and you'd like to drop in, we are at 11 Glendale Avenue, Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. And I'm very happy that I had you, Angela, on the show. That was an amazing story you had to tell, and I certainly wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be given this opportunity to share with Canada about my film and my book. I'm very grateful. So thank you so much.
Thank you too, and thank you all for listening to Healthy Alternatives. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer. Tune in next Thursday at noon at 97.5 CIOE-FM Community Radio with live stream on communityradio.ca for the next episode. Goodbye and have a great day.